Guten Morgen, meine Freunde. Ich heiße Daniel und ich bin dein Mathematiklehrer. Ich bin sehr glücklich, dass dich an das Internet bleiben mit mir. I'm glad you guys are here with me on the internet. This is what we've been talking about, things like decimals and tenths and hundredths place. So we're going to be looking at things like this today in our assignment. Ones, tenths, hundredths. Let's look at that first problem. How many ones do we have? Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many tenths? 2. How many hundredths? 4. So if we were to put that into a number, it'd be, well, 5.2 in the tenths place, 4 in the hundredths place. Let's look at what that's going to look like. It's going to be 5.24. Is that kind of what you got? 5 ones, point, 2 tenths, 4 hundredths. Let's try the next problem. We've got 3 ones. Uh-oh, they're trying to trick us here. 0 tenths. And how many hundredths? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can you write that as a number? It's going to be 3 point something. 3 point. Notice how there are no tenths at all. So I'm just going to write a 0 right there. 3.0. And how many hundredths? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 3.07 because the sevens have to go in the hundredth spot. Don't put the hundredths in the tenth spot. That's a totally different number. So it looks kind of like that. Let's go to the next one. We've got no ones at all. So it's going to be 0 point something. 0 point, what's going to be in the tenth spot? Well, we've got 4. It's going to be 0.4. And then what's in the hundredths? 0.42. 2 hundredths. So the way you read that is 0.42. Notice how you don't say, you could say 0.42, but usually say 0.42. So notice how 4 tenths are the same as 40 hundredths, 0.42. That's because when we looked at this guy, 1 tenth if you just look at one of these tenths here, is 10 hundredths. 1 tenth is 10 hundredths. There's a tenth. There's 10 hundredths. So the next page in our book, we're going to get some problems like this. Three tenths plus 8 hundredths. So there are no ones, it's going to be 0 point something. We're going to write that as a decimal. That's what they want us to do. So 0 point what? Well, I can just see now it's going to be 3 in the tenth spot at 8 in the hundredths. But something to think about in case the problems are harder than this. 3 tenths is how many hundredths? Remember how a tenth is 10 hundredths? So 3 tenths is 30 hundredths. So what I would do is put that 3 tenths into hundredths. So you're going to make it say, you know what, 3 tenths is 30 hundredths plus 8 hundredths. 3 tenths, the AKA in hundredths is 30 hundredths. Because you just multiply the 3 times 10 and the 10 times 10. So 3 tenths is 30 hundredths. So what's 30 hundredths plus 8 hundredths? 38 hundredths. It's 38 hundredths. Can we put that into a decimal? Sure. It's 0.38. Make sure the 8's in the hundredth spot. So just like I said before, 3/10, well, 3's in the 10th spot. 8/100, 8's in the 100th spot. But as we're going to see, the fastest way to do this, and probably the best way to do this, is to just put the 3/10 into hundredths immediately, and then just add them up. Well, I've got 30/100, and I add those 8/100, and I get 38/100. How do you write 38/100 as a decimal? Well, it's just 0.38. That 8's in the 100th spot. The 3's in the 10th spot. Let's go to the next one. 9 plus 5/10 plus 16/100. See, this is why we don't want to just say 9.5 something, because that 16/100 is going to get messy. So we want to say 9 plus, can we put those 5/10 into hundredths? 5/10 is going to be how many hundredths? Well, 1/10 is 1/100th. Sorry, 1/10 is 10/100. So 5/10 is how many hundredths? Just like if you were to look at this and notice, oh, 1/10 is 10/100, 2/10 is 20/100, 3/10 is 30, 4/10 is 40, 5/10 is 50/100. See how we do that? 5/10 is 50/100. All those hundreds right there. So I'm going to say not equals 9 plus 50/100 plus 16/100. Now we're getting a little closer. So it's going to be 9 plus, well, what's 50 plus 16? 66. So it's going to be 9 and 66/100. Can we put that into a decimal? 9 and 66/100? Because the 5/10 got turned into 50/100. Then we just added that 16/100. We got 9 and 66/100. So it's going to be 9.66 because we got 66/100. Anytime you see there's hundredths, we're talking about hundredths, there's got to be something in the hundredth spot. 66/100, so 6/10, 6/100. 6/10 and 6/100 is 66/100. So if you see hundredths, you know that means there's going to be something in the hundredth spot for sure. In this case, it's a 6, and there's 66/100.